How you doing?
Waiting for him to get the heck out of the way.
As soon as they go by, we'll walk into the lumber area. So, this is what we call the lumber yard, but it has a little more than lumber. Over here is where we used to not take, we started out taking single pane aluminum windows, but we had a really hard time finding a home for them. And then a local transfer station said they would take them for recycling, so we refer people there.
Right.
Then we found out they were taking the aluminum and a lot of it gets shipped all over the place. And there's a company called Elite, less than a mile from here, where they manufacture hardware, metal stuff, and we talked to them about, could you take the aluminum we recovered here and make your hardware? And they said yes, and they loved it. And so we now take the glass out of the frames, the aluminum frames, we sell it to them for the same price we'd sell for scrap, but to a local company. They make local items out of it, and the glass we recycle, that's the glass recycling, or it goes to our glass cutting department. We actually have a full glass cutting department where people order into glass cutting. So, and I'll show you that on our way through there. But coming back through here, all this lumber that you see, about 90% of it came from our deconstruction services. These are our custom racks that are vital because we can forklift them around. And all this lumber is the lumber we demailed. Hey, Peter. And anyway, this is siding, flooring, dimensional lumber.
Rubber base, I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of, we normally don't take things that are new or discontinued. We send those to Restore Habitat.
Yes.
We actually help them with their business plan.
Oh.
And I would say easily less than 1% of our inventory is stuff like that.
Right.
But it's usually on relationships. People are like, they don't have the capacity to pick this stuff up. Like, we're going to get a whole bunch of commercial steel doors in the frames that are new, but they don't have the capacity to get it.
The Restore doesn't?
So we're
Yeah.
taking them.
Right.
So, because right now we have 3 trucks on the road going around picking stuff up all over, which is vital for us too, because about 80% of our inventory comes through our free pickup service.
Right.
Hey, good morning.
I was actually going to ask you, did you start out with that, or is that something you incorporated later, the free pickup?
No, right away.
You did?
Right away,
That's
yeah.
Great.
I had an old Econoline van that I paid $60 for. That was our first vehicle, and it was a Thrasher, but it was a 1-ton. And then we got this International that was another Thrasher with a flatbed on it. It was very small, it was like 12-foot flatbed. But then I used the Metro grant we got for $36,000 and used that method to get a 20-foot flatbed truck of going to them and saying, hey, can you meet me in the middle? Donate half, I'll buy half. So we did start out with a flatbed. It was very important. So all the lumber that you see that's painted orange on the end, that's clear vertical grain. There are 4 different markets for reclaimed lumber. There's just your nominal standard lumber, like you can get a retail store. We go half price on everything. And so we use these 4 different, for reclaim. Reclaim 1, reclaim 2, 3, and 4. Reclaim 4 is at the bottom. This clear vertical grain, old growth, what they call CBG, is at the top of the market. Here in our region, in the Northwest, CBG sells anywhere from $2.50 a board foot all the way up to $6 a board foot for the same wood. But it just depends on who's selling it and what the market will bear. So because our organization prices everything half or less of what it costs market or retail, we go to the bottom, which is the $2.50 a board foot, and then we cut that in half and go to $1.25 a board foot.
Okay.
And it helps our inventory keep moving.
Right.
And I don't know if I mentioned that. Everything here is priced 50 to 90% off. It's our commitment to the community. And you will if you get this kind of volume. I get calls from New York, Texas, saying, I'll pay you 10 times or 6 times what you're selling your lumber for here. And we're like, no. It's for the community.
That's right.
And if you sell anything out the back door, it'll destroy your credibility.
That's right.
I looked at thrift operations that did that. Nobody in the community thought like they could get anything worth anything there.
That's
they sell the good stuff to the dealers.
That's
they
right.
sell.
Yeah.
So what I tell people from New York is, if you can get here and buy it here, you're welcome to. But we're not going to go. We don't ship anything out. We also don't ship anything out. We've gotten calls from people in other states like, I have this huge truckload of stuff and I need to dump it. Give you a donation. We're like, here's a list of used building material places between where you are and we are. We don't want to be shipping things in, and we also don't want to be shipping things out. The goal here is it's all from the local region.
Local use.
Yeah.
Of course.
Reclaim it locally, keep it locally.
Yeah.
And so that's we stick to that really closely. Our lumber, a lot of the items here are going to be much closer to that 90% off a retailer market, but the lumber is usually we try to stick right at 50%. Because it's such a great value, and a lot of it you really couldn't buy today. So
that's right.
Like those up there, if you look way back there, those are 30-foot floor joists. They're up on that rack, and they're just beautiful old growth. And you can see on the white lines, that's where the plaster lines were from the lath and plaster. So they're just, anyway, you can't find that.
What would you say the average age is for the homes that you guys deconstruct?
Average age. Probably if I was doing average, it would run somewhere right in the 1940s or 50s. Because we do homes that are turn of the century, not a lot of those. And we've done homes that are kind of crazy, kind of newer, 70s.
Yeah.
We've even done some 80s. And one we did a brand new. It was ridiculous, but I shouldn't say that on tape. I mean, we were always like, we remove ourselves. They have a choice, and they're choosing us. That's awesome. But somebody built a new home. It was over $1 million home. Next to somebody's property, and they just had the capacity and hated that home, and they bought it and said we want it gone, and thankfully they chose deconstructing it. But I can tell you that deconstructing the new home was a nightmare compared to the old homes. Everything was glued together, liquid nails, and a lot of this fabricated synthetic siding.
I'm so glad you're bringing that up, because one of the things that I feel so passionate about is promoting a culture of designing for disassembly.
Yes, yeah, that would be. Well, hopefully that's going to come. The next
I
generation's
know.
gonna do
I'm
a
just
lot.
saying it's such an important component for the reuse model,
Yeah.
because it makes everything flow. I mean, that creates the true, closed loop society.
Yeah.
You can actually take things apart.
But not the way they're doing it right.
I know.
A few other things that you may choose or not choose to promote. We don't. But we sometimes will share with people that plywood has really terrible adhesives, really toxic adhesives in it that have a lot of formaldehydes.
Right.
They have projected that it takes 20 years for a piece of plywood to completely off-gas. So when you go in that new home smell, you already know what that is. So we love it when we get the old plywood, because we get to say, oh, it's already done off-gassing. So all the formaldehyde, somebody else, ingested all that.
Right.
So it's clean for you. And we still sell it at half price, but some people really appreciate that. They're like, oh, yeah. And
There's actually an added value.
there really is. And technically, you could say it's worth a lot more.
That's right.
It's not going to poison you anymore.
Right.
So anyway.
I wanted to ask you about the structure. I love it. It's beautiful.
This here,
Yeah.
same thing. It's all reclaimed materials. On the outside of there, where you see while you see plants growing up, there's huge bioswale planters on each side. And when you leave, if you go around, you can see the other side. And then, like that lumber up there with the nails that's all wrapped, we'll send that out for milling. We do a little bit of milling. People will come in and they want casing for their windows and doors, and we'll use that for them. And then also what we do, one of the barriers we identified, our staff, by the way, do a lot of brainstorming. We're always like, okay, what are the barriers to reuse? How can we find new homes for these items? And early on, it was probably 2000, one of my coworkers, she had just started working here, and she said, people keep saying you can't use this when you do new construction because it's not graded. So she said, I wonder if we could get certified. I'm like, yeah, it's a great idea. Why don't you look into it? She did, and she said, I found it, so we paid to have her certified. And now we always have staff who are certified to regrade the lumber.
Yeah.
So we have our own lumber stamp that says ReBuilding Center number 2, and we're certified through West Coast Lumber Graders. And now when people need it, we just did a whole load for somebody. We grade it for them, and then they can use it in new construction, and they'll sign off.
That is so smart.
Yeah, it worked out really well. And so it's that kind of stuff that, and that's another term, by the way. We don't say we sell this stuff. we say we find new homes for it.
Right.
And it's all about that relationship of, and that's why the staff will say it's about these are backdrop for building community. It's find a new home for it, and people really appreciate that. Instead of saying, I'm going to sell this to you.
What's so brilliant is that there's this concept of not paying attention to where things go when you're done using them. So that idea of, everything has a value.
Right.
Don't let things just leave your mind and just assume that they're being taken care of in a responsible way. Take responsibility for everything that you take into your life.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk more about that. Yeah, exactly.